Captain Elias Kane had been exploring the far reaches of the galaxy for over 5 years, yet no planet had ever prepared him for what he found that day. His ship, the Horizon, descended through the swirling violet clouds of an uncharted system, and below him stretched a world of strange beauty. Mountains shimmered with a metallic sheen, rivers reflected colors he had never seen, and enormous trees with crystalline leaves reached high into the sky. Elias was both excited and cautious. The planet had no name, no recorded history. He felt a mixture of wonder and the ever-present thrill of discovery that came with being human, curious, brave, and determined to understand the unknown. As he guided the ship to a safe landing near a valley, he noticed a faint glimmer in the distance. Stepping out onto the alien soil, Elias felt the soft crunch of crystal-like dust beneath his boots. The air was breathable, though tinged with a sweet metallic scent. The sunlight was sharper than on Earth, reflecting off the crystalline formations around him, making everything shimmer. He adjusted his scanner, trying to identify the source of the light he had seen from orbit. It led him to an unusual structure half buried in the sand. The shape was unfamiliar, angular yet smooth like nothing in human architecture. He approached slowly, his senses alert. The surface of the structure was translucent in places, allowing him to see faint shapes inside. One figure in particular caught his attention, a form that seemed almost alive even through the walls. Elias carefully opened the entrance, stepping into a space that felt larger than its outside dimensions suggested. The walls pulsed faintly with light, almost as if the building itself were breathing. And in the center, lying on a pedestal of crystal, was the being. It was covered in a silken cloth that shimmered faintly. The creature's form was indistinct, but the moment Elias stepped closer, he heard a whisper, soft and trembling. "Please, don't remove the cloth." Elias froze. His heart raced not out of fear, but awe. The voice, melodic, calming, yet filled with emotion, resonated directly in his mind, bypassing any need for translation. Humans had long speculated about psychic communication among alien species, but this was his first proof. He knelt beside the pedestal, staring at the cloth. It seemed to glow from within, reacting to his presence. There was a warning in the whisper, a plea for restraint, yet curiosity burned brighter in him than caution. Slowly, carefully, he lifted the corner of the cloth. The sight beneath took his breath away. The alien's form was delicate and radiant, with shapes that seemed to shift subtly as he looked. Its skin reflected light like a prism, refracting colors in ways he couldn't name. Though fragile-looking, it radiated energy that made the air around it hum softly. For a long moment, Elias just stared. The creature's eyes, and if they could be called that, glowed with an inner light, intelligent and ancient. It did not speak, but a wave of emotion washed over him, curiosity, fear, and a quiet plea for trust. He realized instantly that this being was not only intelligent, but far beyond human understanding in knowledge and experience. What are you?" Elias whispered aloud, though he knew the creature did not need words to hear him. The being shifted slightly and a thought entered his mind without speech. "I am from a time before yours, hidden to protect. Do not fear, human, but know the cloth held more than form. It held restraint. Now you have released what must remain controlled." Elias felt a chill run down his spine. He had expected an alien encounter, perhaps one of curiosity or danger, but this was beyond anything he had imagined. He looked around the chamber. Crystals on the walls began to pulse brighter, reacting to the energy of the creature. Even the plants that had sprouted in the chamber from nutrient lines seemed to respond, their leaves bending and twisting toward the being. Days passed as Elias studied the alien. He named it Leora, a name that seemed to suit the creature's light-filled presence. Through thought and emotion, she communicated with him. She told him of her race, hidden for millennia on this planet to protect knowledge too dangerous for unprepared civilizations. The cloth, she explained, had been designed to restrain her energy, keeping her power limited to safe levels. By removing it, Elias had allowed her energy to flow freely but not chaotically. She had felt him as a protector, a being who could choose respect over greed. The more he learned, the more Elias marveled at human resilience. He thought of the countless times humanity had faced impossible odds and survived. Here, he realized, was another test, not of strength but of wisdom and morality. He felt proud to be human, capable of curiosity and courage, yet humbled by the depth of what lay before him. Outside the chamber, The planet itself began to change subtly. Crystals along the mountains glimmered more brightly, reflecting the growing energy of Leora. Rivers shifted slightly, their waters clearer and tinged with color. The flora responded, bending as though acknowledging her presence. It was a breathtaking display, a quiet symphony of life and energy that made Elias feel both insignificant and essential. Despite the wonder, Elias knew danger could come at any moment. Word of a discovery like this, if it reached the wrong ears, could lead to conflict, exploitation, or worse. He vowed to protect Leora, to learn from her, and to ensure that her knowledge was shared responsibly, not weaponized. One evening, as the twin suns set and painted the sky in shades of violet and gold, Elias sat beside the pedestal. He reached out, letting his hand hover near Leora without touching her. She responded with a gentle glow, an acknowledgement of trust and understanding. "You humans," a thought came gently, tinged with curiosity. "You seek knowledge even when it terrifies you. You take risks because of hope, and yet, your fear often guides you wrongly. You are remarkable." Elias smiled softly. He knew this was the moment when a human being, standing on the edge of the unknown, truly understood the vastness of the universe. And though the journey ahead was uncertain, he felt a deep connection, not just with Leora, but with the possibilities of what humanity could achieve. Night fell on the strange, luminous world. The stars shone brighter here, unclouded by atmosphere, and the twin moons cast silver shadows on the crystalline terrain. Elias lay back on the soft sand, thinking of the long journey ahead. He would need all his courage, all his intelligence, and all his humanity to navigate the challenges that awaited. But for now, he allowed himself a moment of wonder. Humans had always reached for the stars, seeking to understand what lay beyond. And now, in this alien chamber with Leora, he realized that humanity's reach was not just about technology or strength. It was about heart, curiosity, and the courage to see beyond the obvious. Tomorrow would bring more questions, more discoveries, and perhaps even danger. But tonight, Elias Kane simply marveled at the impossible beauty before him. The human had lifted the cloth. The universe had revealed a fragment of its secret, and in that moment the true adventure began. The next morning, Elias Kane awoke to a soft, golden light streaming through the translucent walls of the alien chamber. The twin suns of the planet were rising, painting the crystalline structures outside in shimmering colors he had no names for. He stretched and looked at Leora, who rested calmly on the pedestal. Though her energy pulsed faintly, it was controlled, as if she were aware of his presence and had adjusted to it. Elias felt both awe and responsibility. Leora was no ordinary discovery. She was living knowledge, a being whose very existence challenged everything humans thought they knew about life and energy. He approached slowly, keeping his movements calm. She responded with a faint glow, her presence filling the chamber with a quiet warmth. "Good morning, Leora," Elias said softly. He wasn't sure she needed words, but speaking helped him focus. I want to understand you, your world, your purpose." A gentle thought reached him, tinged with amusement and care. "You humans seek understanding, yet you rarely wait for it. But you are patient, for now. I will show you, little by little." The first revelation came through a simple act. Elias noticed that when he moved near a cluster of crystalline plants, they responded to his emotions. When he was calm, the plants swayed gently. When he was curious or excited, their leaves shimmered brighter. Leora communicated that this reaction was not unique to the flora. The entire ecosystem of the planet responded to energy and thought. The planet was alive in ways humans had never imagined. Over the next several days, Elias learned to interact with this energy. Leora guided him to focus, to sense rather than touch, to influence without forcing. He discovered he could make plants bend and grow, not through technology but through intent and concentration. At first it was subtle, a flower leaning toward him, a crystal flickering in response to a question. But soon he realized the planet itself seemed to breathe with him, as if acknowledging his presence. "Your kind," Leora said gently in thought, "has the potential to grow far beyond what you see. You rely on machines and metal, but energy is the essence of creation. You feel it, yet you rarely understand it." Elias nodded slowly, absorbing her words. Humanity had always depended on technology to explore the stars, to survive. Yet here, on this vibrant world, he realized that technology was only a tool. The true power lay in understanding, compassion, and the courage to face the unknown with respect rather than domination. One afternoon, as Elias meditated near the pedestal, Leora shared her greatest secret. "I am a keeper," she explained. "My race existed long before yours. We built civilizations across galaxies, guiding life forms and sharing knowledge, but we also hid when conflict arose. My kind protects the balance of energy and life. This cloth you removed restrained me, preventing the release of energy that could reshape worlds. Yet you did not act from greed. You acted from curiosity and respect. That is why you may witness what others cannot." Elias felt a mixture of pride and humility. Humans were explorers, sometimes reckless, but always driven by curiosity and hope. That hope had saved him from acting selfishly, and it had earned him the trust of Leora. Curiosity and responsibility drove him further. He asked, "Can you show me how to use this energy?" "Not fully," she replied, "but enough for learning. You must understand that power without wisdom destroys more than it creates. Watch carefully." Leora lifted a hand, delicate yet radiant. The crystal walls of the chamber began to glow softly, and the sand beneath Elias's feet shifted, forming intricate patterns that pulsed in rhythm with Leora's energy. Colors moved like liquid light, swirling and coalescing into shapes he could recognize. Images of galaxies, planets, and civilizations long gone. Elias realized these were visions of her race's history, stored not in books or machines but in energy itself. He reached out tentatively, letting his mind connect with the patterns. Instantly, understanding flowed into him, not in words but in emotion and insight. He saw worlds where life thrived through cooperation, where knowledge was shared freely and where conflict was solved not by weapons, but by understanding. He also saw worlds destroyed by greed and fear, where knowledge was hoarded and power misused. Elias felt a shiver run through him. The responsibility of knowledge weighed heavily. Humans had the chance to rise, to achieve greatness beyond anything imagined, but only if they chose wisely. Days turned into nights, and Elias began experimenting cautiously. Guided by Leora, he could influence small energies around him. Crystals responded to his touchless movements. Water rippled in intricate patterns and light bent subtly, creating faint rainbows in the chamber. Each experiment left him exhilarated and exhausted. Learning this new form of interaction required patience and focus, qualities humans often overlooked in their rush for progress. One evening, as the twin moons rose in the violet sky, Elias sat beside Leora and asked a question he had been holding back. "Why are you here alone? Why hide from the universe?" Her response came slowly, thoughtful. "My race learned long ago that knowledge and power are dangerous without care. Some civilizations seek to control or destroy what they cannot understand. We withdrew, hiding in places where few would find us, guarding secrets until a species proves itself capable of responsibility. You humans show promise. That is why I revealed myself to you." Elias felt a surge of determination. Humans were flawed, yes, but they were also capable of incredible feats. Bravery, compassion, ingenuity. Leora's trust in him was both humbling and inspiring. He made a silent vow to honor that trust, to learn and to protect what he had discovered. The revelation deepened when Elias noticed subtle changes in his own perception. Colors seemed richer, sounds carried more information, and even the weight of the air felt alive. He realized that the planet and Leora were not just teaching him about energy. They were teaching him to see and feel in ways humans had forgotten. But with knowledge came worry. Elias knew he could not keep this secret forever. There were other humans, other factions who might discover Leora and attempt to exploit her power. The thought unsettled him. "Do not fear," Leora's voice echoed in his mind. "Some will come, some will seek to control, but you are capable of guiding them or resisting them. Your choice will shape not just your fate, but the future of many worlds." The weight of her words sank in. Elias understood that this was more than a discovery. It was a test of humanity itself. Would humans rise to the challenge with wisdom and restraint, or would they falter under temptation? Elias spent the following days learning, practicing, and observing. He could now influence small portions of energy in the chamber, bending light, guiding crystal growth, and even affecting minor currents of air. Each success brought excitement, but also a reminder of the responsibility he carried. Leora watched patiently, her presence steady, encouraging him to focus on learning rather than ambition. One afternoon, as Elias worked near a pool of crystal-clear water, he noticed a ripple moving against the current. The energy from the removed cloth, still active, had begun to extend beyond the chamber. Tiny controlled waves of energy flowed into the environment, interacting with the flora and fauna. Plants responded by adjusting their growth patterns, and the sand formed intricate designs on its own. The planet was alive, reacting to Leora's presence and Elias's influence. Elias realized the true beauty of what he had discovered. Humans often looked outward, to technology, to stars, to conquest, but the greatest discoveries were about connection. Connection to life, to energy, and to the universe itself. That night he lay on the soft, shimmering ground outside the chamber, staring at the stars. The twin moons reflected off the crystal mountains and distant clouds glowed with an inner light. Elias felt both small and immense, humbled by what he did not yet understand, yet inspired by the potential of what humanity could achieve. He knew the next step would be harder. Knowledge of this power would attract attention, and not all humans were guided by curiosity and respect. But for now, Elias allowed himself a rare moment of peace. He was a human, standing on a world of light and energy, learning from a being older and wiser than any history could record. And in that moment, he understood the truth. Humanity's greatest strength was not in machines, weapons, or colonies, but in its heart, mind, and willingness to learn. Leora had shown him a glimpse of what was possible. A future where humans could reach beyond themselves, not to dominate, but to grow, to protect, and to connect. As he drifted into a restless sleep beneath the twin moons, Elias felt ready. Tomorrow would bring challenges, discoveries, and perhaps danger. But with patience, respect, and courage, he knew he could face whatever the universe had in store. The revelation of Leora and the energy she held was only the beginning. Elias Kane, human explorer, had glimpsed the vast potential of life, knowledge, and connection, and humanity's true adventure was just beginning. Elias Kane had been on the planet for weeks now, learning from Leora and discovering the incredible energy that flowed through her and the world around them. Each day he grew more skilled at sensing and guiding the energy, feeling the planet respond to him in subtle ways. Crystals glimmered, plants shifted toward him, and even the sands beneath his boots seemed to arrange themselves in patterns of light. But as wonderful as this experience was, Elias could not ignore the reality outside the crystal chamber. Humans were explorers, but they were also curious in ways that could become dangerous. While Elias had been discovering the secrets of the planet, messages from human stations had arrived, picked up faintly by his ship's long-range sensors. Some were routine, but one stood out, a signal from an interstellar corporation known for seeking rare resources and new technologies. Elias frowned. He knew the company would not understand Leora. They would see her only as a tool, a source of energy, a weapon, or a key to profit. The thought made him uneasy. Leora's race had hidden themselves for a reason. If humans discovered her existence, they would not protect her out of respect. They would protect her out of greed or fear. He returned to the chamber and spoke to Leora, careful not to panic. "We have visitors," he said softly. "I don't know who they are exactly, but they may not be friendly. They could try to take you." A calm but serious thought entered his mind. "Then you must prepare, human. You have learned much, but this is the true test. Not knowledge alone, but courage and wisdom. Will you protect life or let fear guide you?" Elias swallowed, determination settling in his chest. He had come to this planet seeking discovery, but now he understood that discovery carried responsibility. Protecting Leora meant protecting knowledge, life, and the future of both human and alien civilizations. Over the next days, Elias began preparing. He explored the surrounding area, learning the terrain and noting places where he could hide or defend themselves if needed. Leora taught him how to subtly use energy to influence the environment, not to harm but to guide. Rocks could shift slightly to form barriers. Crystals could focus light in ways that created disorientation. Even the wind could carry faint patterns that confused intruders. "This is not about fighting," Leora explained. "It is about understanding. You will not prevail through force alone. You must anticipate, adapt, and respect the balance." Elias practiced relentlessly, By now he could influence small currents of energy around him. A wave of thought could ripple through a crystal formation, redirecting light. A gentle hand motion could guide water to form protective patterns. He realized the true power of Leora's teachings was in restraint, to act carefully and with purpose. Then, the intruders arrived. A ship appeared in orbit, sleek and metallic, reflecting the twin suns. Elias watched through his binoculars as figures descended in armored suits, their equipment scanning the ground aggressively. These humans had no knowledge of Leora, no understanding of the energy around them. To them she was a prize, a resource to be claimed. Elias knew he had to act. He returned to the chamber where Leora waited silently, her light calm and steady. "We can do this together," she said, not in words but in thought. "I will guide, you will act. We will show them that life is not theirs to claim." The first encounter happened at the edge of the forest near the chamber. Elias subtly guided crystals to shimmer in bright patterns, confusing the intruders. Plants bent and grew to form narrow corridors, slowing their movement and forcing them into predictable paths. The human invaders were skilled, but they were not prepared for a planet alive with energy. Leora's guidance allowed Elias to anticipate their actions. He could sense where they would move next, using minor energy pulses to redirect light and sound, creating illusions that kept the intruders off balance. It was not violent. Leora had made it clear that they would not hurt anyone, only prevent interference. Hours passed as Elias and Leora worked together. The intruders grew frustrated, unable to understand why their scanners failed or why the terrain seemed to shift around them. Elias felt a surge of pride. Humanity had always been known for resourcefulness and creativity, and here he was combining that ingenuity with the lessons of a far older race. But then the intruders adapted. They began to rely on brute force and heavy equipment, trying to blast through the environment instead of observing it. Elias realized that he needed a new approach. He focused deeply, connecting more fully with Leora and the planet itself. Together, they created a network of energy currents, flowing invisibly but perceptibly to those attuned. The currents guided intruders' movements, keeping them trapped in harmless loops while Elias and Leora remained unseen. One intruder approached the chamber, ignoring all other obstacles. Elias felt his heart race. He had prepared, but this was closer than before. Using Leora's guidance, he subtly manipulated a cluster of crystals near the entrance, focusing light in a way that reflected directly into the intruder's scanner and eyes. The intruder froze, disoriented, giving Elias the chance to retreat into the deeper parts of the chamber. "Clever?" Leora's thought reached him. "You are learning quickly. But remember, power without patience is dangerous. Do not act rashly." Elias nodded, though he was unsure she could see him. He realized that patience and observation were as important as action. He began studying the intruders' behavior, noting patterns in their movements and strategies. Humanity had a saying, "Know your enemy," and here it was proving true. Even though the intruders were human, their actions were predictable when observed carefully. Days of tense encounters followed. Each time, Elias and Leora prevented the intruders from reaching the chamber without causing harm. The planet itself became an ally, subtly guiding the humans away from critical areas while allowing them to leave once they were too confused to continue. Elias was exhausted but exhilarated. He was learning not just to defend Leora, but to think beyond human limitations, to anticipate and guide rather than react. One evening, after another encounter, Elias sat outside the chamber, his legs stretched on the shimmering sand. The twin moons reflected softly in the crystal mountains. Leora's glow was calm beside him. "We are winning," Elias said, though it felt like an understatement. "They can't reach you. They don't understand this world." "Winning is not the goal," Leora replied. "Understanding and restraint are. You act to protect, not to destroy. That is what makes you truly human." Elias smiled, though his thoughts were heavy. He understood now that human curiosity, courage, and morality were his greatest strengths. He could face opponents who relied only on tools and weapons because he had something they could not understand: insight, empathy, and the willingness to act wisely. The final test came unexpectedly. A small squad of intruders managed to breach the outer perimeter and approach the chamber again, more determined than before. Elias took a deep breath and prepared. Using everything he had learned, he guided crystals to shift, lights to bend, and air currents to move in complex patterns. The intruders' scanners went haywire, and their attempts to move forward were met with subtle but irresistible forces guiding them away. One intruder tried to fire a weapon, but the energy of the planet responded. Crystals redirected the light of the shot harmlessly into the sky. The intruder stumbled, and Elias realized the lesson was clear. Humans must learn restraint, but also that those who respect life and knowledge could achieve far more than those who sought only to dominate. By the end of the encounter, the intruders were forced to retreat. Elias watched them leave, realizing that their curiosity and greed had been their undoing. He felt both relief and pride. Humanity had the potential to succeed, not through force but through intelligence, morality, and cooperation with forces greater than themselves. That night, Elias sat beside Leora, exhausted but satisfied. "We did it," he said quietly. "They can't reach you. And maybe this proves something about humans." "Yes," Leora replied. "You are capable of great things. But remember, human, the universe is vast and challenges are endless. Today you succeeded because you listened, observed, and acted with care. Tomorrow will bring new tests, but you are ready." Elias gazed at the twin moons, feeling a profound connection to the planet Leora and the possibilities that lay ahead. Humans had always been explorers, seekers of knowledge, and now he understood that their greatest victories were not in conquest, but in wisdom, restraint, and courage. As he drifted to sleep that night, Elias Kane knew that this was only the beginning. The universe was full of challenges, but humans had something unique: heart, mind, and spirit. And with those, even the most impossible obstacles could be overcome. The challenge had been met, but the true journey, understanding and protecting the knowledge of the universe, had only just begun. The morning sun rose over the crystalline mountains, painting the alien landscape in shades of gold and violet. Captain Elias Kane stood at the edge of the chamber, looking out across the shimmering sands. The intruders had retreated, but he knew the universe would not always be so forgiving. Challenges were inevitable, yet Elias felt no fear. He had learned much from Leora, and now it was time to understand the final lessons she had to offer. Leora hovered lightly on her pedestal, her energy glowing gently in response to the sunlight. Elias approached carefully, aware of the immense power she held. "Today," he said, "I want to understand everything you can teach me. Not just about this planet, but about your people, your knowledge, and what humans can become." A wave of thought entered his mind, calm and radiant. "You seek the truth, human. You have proven your courage, your patience, and your respect. Now you will see what humans are capable of when they act with wisdom. But be ready. What you learn will change everything you know about life and energy." Leora began to focus her energy outward. The chamber walls pulsed, and the ground beneath Elias shimmered in waves of light. Slowly, the planet itself seemed to respond as if it were alive with awareness. Crystals along the mountains emitted faint musical tones, harmonizing with the movement of the wind. Elias realized that this world was a living symphony, its life force intertwined with Leora's energy. "Watch carefully," Leora instructed. She extended her hand toward a nearby crystal formation. Light flowed from her fingers into the crystals, bending and refracting until it created intricate patterns across the sands. Elias saw images forming in the light, worlds teeming with life, civilizations rising and falling, and countless species interacting in harmony. It was a vision of the universe as it had been, and as it could be. "You see, human," Leora said gently in thought. "Power is not only in strength or technology. True power is in understanding, connection, and balance. Life is fragile yet resilient. Civilization can grow or fall based on choices. Your people, humans, have the potential to reach heights far beyond what you imagine, if you learn to respect these truths." Elias nodded slowly, absorbing every detail. He felt the weight of responsibility pressing on him, the responsibility of knowledge, of life, and of the future. "And humans can learn this?" he asked softly. "Yes," Leora replied. "Humans are capable of extraordinary growth, but only if they act with heart, mind, and spirit. If they seek only profit or power, they will fail. If they seek knowledge and understanding, they will rise." Elias thought of the intruders who had come seeking Leora. They had failed because they acted without wisdom or restraint. Humanity in its best form could do much better. He felt pride and hope, the very qualities that defined humans at their strongest. Over the following days, Leora taught Elias to connect more deeply with the energy of the planet. Together they guided growth in plants and crystals, observed the flow of energy through rivers and air currents, and discovered subtle ways that thought and intention could influence life without harm. Elias was amazed at how responsive the planet was, as if it were alive not just physically but spiritually. Then came the moment of true transformation. Leora's energy extended fully, interacting with Elias in a way that transcended ordinary perception. He could feel the patterns of life and energy in the chamber and beyond. He could sense the rhythm of the planet, the gentle hum of crystal mountains, and the subtle connections of living beings across the landscape. Now, Leora's thought came, "You will carry this understanding back to your people. But it is not mine alone you must share. It is the lesson that humans themselves can grow, that knowledge must be respected, and that courage and wisdom together are unstoppable." Elias felt a surge of clarity. He realized that humans had always reached for the stars, not simply to conquer but to explore, to learn, and to understand. And here he was, standing on a planet that taught him that exploration without respect was incomplete. The universe was alive with knowledge, waiting for those who sought it responsibly. But as he prepared to leave the chamber, a sudden thought reached him. Caution from Leora. Not all humans are ready. You must be careful. Those who come after you may not understand. Protect what is sacred. Teach those who are ready and guide them wisely. Elias nodded, feeling the weight of his mission. He knew that returning to human space would not be simple. There would be others seeking Leora's power, others driven by greed, ambition, or fear. But he was prepared. He had learned to act not through force but through wisdom, patience, and understanding. He would guide humanity not as a conqueror, but as a teacher and protector. The journey back to the horizon was quiet, almost meditative. Elias looked out at the alien landscape, taking in every detail. Mountains glittered like gemstones, rivers shone with reflective colors, and plants responded to his presence with subtle movements. This planet and Leora's energy had shown him the potential of humans when they acted with respect and intelligence. As the ship lifted off, Leora's light pulsed once more, a gentle farewell and a reminder. Go, human. Teach what you have learned. Protect life. Inspire others. Humanity's strength lies in courage, wisdom, and heart. Elias felt a deep sense of purpose. For years, humans had explored space with technology, ambition, and curiosity. Now he understood that humanity's greatest achievement would not be machines or colonies, but the growth of its mind and spirit. When Elias returned to human space, he carried more than knowledge of Leora's planet. He carried a vision of a universe alive with energy and life, and of humans capable of rising to challenges with courage, morality, and intelligence. He shared what he could without revealing Leora directly, teaching humans to respect life, to observe before acting, and to value knowledge over conquest. In the years that followed, humans remembered the lessons of that strange, luminous world. They faced challenges with greater wisdom, acted with restraint in their discoveries, and learned that courage and curiosity were most effective when guided by morality and understanding. Elias Kane became a legend, not only for his discovery but for demonstrating the true potential of humanity. One night, as Elias gazed at the stars from Earth's orbit, he felt a familiar pulse, a gentle, radiant energy echoing through the universe. Leora's presence was distant yet comforting. He realized that some connections were eternal, transcending distance, time, and species. The universe was vast, full of mysteries, yet humans had proven themselves capable of facing them with intelligence, respect, and heart. And as he looked down at Earth, glowing softly beneath him, Elias Kane knew the truth. Humanity's journey was just beginning. The stars awaited, filled with knowledge and life, challenges and discoveries, and humans, with their courage, curiosity, and wisdom, were ready to rise, not as conquerors but as protectors and explorers. The transformation had come, not just for Elias, but for humanity. The lesson of Leora and the living planet was clear. When humans act with respect, courage, and understanding, nothing in the universe is beyond their reach. Elias smiled softly, feeling the bond that connected him to the alien world and its guardian. He knew the adventure would continue in ways he could not yet imagine, But now he also knew that humanity's greatest power lay not in technology or weapons, but in heart, mind, and spirit. The universe was waiting. Humanity was ready.